Hey guys, what's going on? So in this one, we're going to be covering the second half SOS boss for P5X Global version 2.5. The team we're going to be running here is Vino 1, Wonder 2, Chord 3, and Queen 4 with Futaba as navigator. And then Wonder is using Ex Machina with Bishamonten, Dionysus, and your highest level persona that you're not using on the other side. For me, that is Yanosik. And this one's interesting. I had to speed tune this team a little bit to get Vino first because the boss Seiryu has a skill or a special effect called Azure Scales. And for each stack of Azure Scales that he has a 15% damage reduction on final damage taken, and because my Chord was first, and he gets a stack back every turn. Obviously, I'd have no choice but to use Catchy Hook first, because Chord was first, and I would lose 15% final damage on that, and so I kind of just gave Vino a speed card to put her first. So maybe consider doing the same thing. It's not mandatory, obviously, but you will lose 15% final damage if you have Chord go first. But otherwise, yeah, I'll put slot-ins up on the screen right now. This one's kind of interesting. It's kind of like the other boss. Both bosses have like a ton of like slot-in options because they don't really resist anything. Seiryu only resists ice, and if you're using Fox on the other side, then you don't really have to worry about that. So feel free to use, any single target or AoE DPS, your best DPS that you can. If you don't have Chord, feel free to use Leon here. Leon actually does play into a little bit of like the boss effect with like the charge stacks, whatever they're called, for getting shields. I just felt like Chord is doing more than whatever Leon would do with the shield, so we're going with Chord. But Leon's a really nice backup here because one, he's just a really good buffer for DPS units, and two, because the special effect this week kind of does cater itself to him giving shields and stuff. So, and then Vino is kind of critical to this team, so if you are running Queen, then like I don't really have a backup for Vino because no one really does what Vino does, or Queen. And then in terms of navigators, you would just kind of go down the line. Like if you didn't use Phoebe on the other side, you could use Phoebe here, you could use Wind here, and then if you don't have any of those units, then you could go ahead and use Okion here. But yeah, if you have any questions on anything, leave it down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer whatever I can for you. And then as for personas, Bishamonten is just going to need Rakunda, Dionysus, the standard Rebellion and Revolution. Then as for card sets, my Queen is running Awareness and Truth, Chord is running Trust and Prosperity, Vino is running Departure and Control, and then Futaba is running Resolve and Labor. But yeah, I don't have a ton else on this one. We've had this boss before. It's nothing super out of the ordinary. I don't know if Chord was around last time we had this boss for SOS though, so maybe she was. I don't really remember, to be honest with you. But yeah, obviously I kind of make this distinction on all my things I use my Queen on. My Queen is A1, so if you don't have an A1 Queen, don't worry about it. I'm doing the same rotation as you would for A0. Just note that you'll do, less damage than my Queen is doing, but it shouldn't really make a difference in terms of anything with the actual rotation, so I wouldn't worry about it. And yeah, with that said, I think we're ready to get into it. So if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer whatever I can for you. Otherwise, I will see you when we get into the fight. All right, so let's get into it. We will start off with Diving Ray. Knocks one of the Azure stacks off. This is the only turn we'll have to worry about two, because he'll get one every turn and we'll knock both of them off. Then we will swap into Dionysus. We'll use Rebellion on Queen. And then if you don't have Chord's 5-star weapon, you won't be able to use Chord's highlight here. This is kind of the same thing that we were doing with like the Mesa team. So if you can't do this, just like pick up with Queen's highlight where I pick up with it next turn. But I'm going to go ahead and use Chord's highlight. If you pick up with Queen's highlight where I pick up with it next turn, you should be fine. And then you go ahead and use Unison Notes on Queen. And then you can use Sanction Drift. And then this fight has like some annoyance with the like the freezes and stuff, so kind of just have to hope for the best with that. All right, now Futaba's up, so we can go ahead and use Futaba's skill 1. And then we can use Bullseye Bomber. And then Wonder can swap back over to Bishamonten and use Rakunda. Get these Tower Purification stacks on. Then we can use Queen's Highlight. And then Chord can go ahead and use Distortion. And then Queen can crash out and use her skill 3. Alright, now Futaba's back up, so we'll use her skill 3 on Queen. Give the boss that extra weakness damage taken up. Vino back to Diving Ray. Wonder can go ahead and swap back to Dionysus and use Revolution on Queen. Then Chord can use Catchy Hook. And then Queen can use her skill 3 again. And there's the freeze, without question. Then I'm going to go ahead and use Wondrous Highlight. Then Vino can use Bullseye Bomber. If you're struggling to get ailments, you could consider using Vino's Highlight there. I don't think it's like a terrible move. We're just going to be using Sanction Drift this turn with Queen, so like I don't really need it. But if you are struggling, like Vino's Highlight is good, so feel free to use that if you think that does a little bit more for you than Wonders does. Wonder can now reapply Rebellion on Queen. And then Chord can use Unison Notes. Queen, Sanction Drift. Get some of these ailments back on. And Futaba's back up now, so she can go ahead and use her skill 1. Vino, skill 1. Wonder back to Bishamonten, and we can use Rakunda again. Get that defense down with the Tower of Purification for the last 2 turns. Chord can then use Distortion. Then we can use Chord's Highlight. Queen can crash out. And use her skill 3. And Futaba's back up again, so we can use her skill 3 on Queen. Put the virus on the boss again. Vino, Bullseye Bomber. Then Wonder can swap back to Dionysus and use Revolution on Queen. Chord can go ahead and use Catchy Hook. Love how Seiryu like is bugged out and he like turns away when you use Catchy Hook. And then Queen can use her own highlight. And then she can use her skill 3. And 35-7. So kind of about what I was getting with this team. If you have A1 or higher Queen, you'll obviously do as much or more than me. If you like didn't get freezes or whatever, or if you have a higher awareness Queen, you'll just do like way more than me. And if you have a lower awareness Queen, you'll probably do less, but the rotation is identical, like I said, so you should be perfectly fine. But yeah, that's kind of all I have. I don't really have a ton else to say on this one. This one was pretty straightforward, actually. This was like one of the less stressful SOS bosses. Fox drove me kind of crazy because the RNG is just annoying, but this one was actually pretty straightforward, so we'll take it, right? But yeah, if you have any questions or anything, leave them down in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer whatever I can for you. Otherwise, I appreciate you watching, as always, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good one.